From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features coming for you. You can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, listen to the show live. The Gavinator has more coming soon. Tonight's show is brought to you by the Mighty Moose Beard Oil Company. 100% Canadian, 100% natural, taking care of beards around the world. Visit MightyMooseBeard.com. Don't forget to use promo code SOR2019 today. Tonight we take a look at the history of UFOs and their introduction to mankind. Is this a phenomenon we've had here since we were an infantile species, or is this more recent? Bruce Fenton is the author of the revolutionary Human Origins ebook series, The Forgotten Exodus. Fenton is a world traveler living in the United Kingdom, public speaker. His research activities have been featured in the UK's Telegraph newspaper and on popular Science Channel shows. He is currently a member of both the I'm not going to be able to pronounce that word, man. I'm going to get you to do it, Bruce, here in a second. But, yeah, he's a scientist, does medical work. And then in the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Mr. Bruce Fenton, been a long time since we had you on the show. We're glad to have you here. What the hell is that word?
Paleanthropology.
That's the one, paleoanthropology. Yeah. There we go. I don't make up these words. I just use them. I don't know where they get that one from. But you know what? I tell you, I got 2 wrongs heading into this show. 2 wrongs. Number 1, it is hot in here. It is very muggy in here, and I cannot open the window, because if I open the window, the studio is going to be filled with mosquitoes. So I've got my fan on right beside me, trying to cool me down, because, I'm a big guy. And number 2, when you decide that, oh, man, I could use some grease for dinner tonight, maybe go for a burger, greasy burgers, French fries, and everything like that. Mm-hmm. I did that tonight thinking it would be such a good idea. It was not a good idea. Not a good idea. It just wasn't.
So you're going to have to soldier through tonight, then?
I am totally soldiering through. How you doing, my friend?
I'm pretty well. Actually, it was a really hot day here as well. It's still quite muggy. I think it's probably our hottest day so far this summer. It was really hot.
What'd you get to?
I think 28. I was told it was going up
Holy
to. Yeah.
Cow. Holy cow. Yeah, we were about 28 today as well.
So there we go. It's been a bit ridiculous. It's not fun when it gets those temperatures. I don't like it.
So in American translation, that's close to 80 degrees.
Yeah. I mean, for here, obviously, that's very hot. I appreciate some parts of Europe, they get to the 40 or something, but, it just kills me and everything around that.
My friend, since the last time you and I talked on this show, ufology has blown up. For the good, for the bad, who knows, whatever we want to call it, my friend. It has really gotten to an ugly point in a lot of areas. But before we get into that, because we're going to get into everything tonight with you, and I appreciate you coming on again. For listeners who may not be familiar with you, tell us how you got into ufology.
Yeah, really. I mean, when I was about 11 years old, I was given a set of little cards, and they're called it's Unexplained Mysteries of the World. My grandmother used to give me them. They came free with tea leaves for some reason that she would buy. And in those, there was all the range of mysteries. There was the Loch Ness Monster, there's, the Costa Rica spheres, Yeti, a good collection of all the strangeness that's out there. And they really sort of sparked my imagination and my curiosity. And so from then on, really, I took an interest in all of the strange subjects, not just UFOs, the whole smorgasbord of strangeness. Probably got more serious with it when I was around 20, I would say. Obviously as a teenager, you're at school, you've got all those things going on, and so I won't say I was a serious researcher at 12 or anything. But certainly, I was interested from very early on. From 20 of really sort of dived into the literature, and been to conferences and done all sorts of weird and wonderful journeys around the world to strange places, ancient, mysterious, ruins. It's been a whole gamut of strangeness, plus a lot of my own experiences, psychical experiences and UFO encounters. So, all of those things have kind of, I guess, mixed together to give me this deep interest.
Do you think there's a tie between everything?
I do, yes. I do think that
why
there's certainly...
There's a big debate going on in the entire field, because you have Bigfoot people, encrypted people who say, oh, no, there's nothing to do with UFOs. I don't believe in that UFO crap. The paranormal people say the same thing, and everybody's infighting about it. Yet there are a number of people out there, Bruce, who really do believe that there is some sort of tie between all of these genres.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like that, but it's it just keeps coming up that there are links, and that whenever you dive into, let's say, one of the mysteries, you will soon find a thread to at least one other. So if you take Bigfoot and you think, okay, is this just a cryptid creature in the forest? What you start to find is in areas where Bigfoot is seen, that UFOs are seen, or strange lights appear, that you get these disappearances, these missing 411s. They've become known as David Paulides' work, that people disappear in the same places where Bigfoot is. And then we even have Bigfoot seen on UFO craft, right? So it doesn't take long before you start to find a web, right, of high strangeness that runs through all of these topics. And I think you can pick any one of the really weird subjects, and you'll find that happens, that you soon find a link onto one of the others.
Why do you think there is a tie? Do you think it is something spiritual, something that we don't have the answers for? Why are you convinced?
Yeah, personally, I think that it is something to do with the nature of reality. I think that's definitely part of the backstory to this web of interconnectivity. There is also, there's also elements within some of these areas, say like with Bigfoot, where I wouldn't say it's just a psychical phenomena. There's evidence that there is, a physical creature, and it may be we're dealing with two things. Again, we have to be quite careful, because you might find that there's a natural creature, that is a Bigfoot, but you may also find that there's another one that's almost the echo or the mirror of it that appears in the woods, which is entirely psychical or is otherworldly. So that's why I think that these subjects are so complex, because you often find it isn't one answer. Right, and that you may have two very similar looking things running concurrently in the same place, and yet they're entirely different. One may be actually trying to look like the other one, because there seems to be a lot of trickster elements in these phenomena.
There really does seem to be that. And the more we go down the path, the more woo it seems to get. And it's like, here we are looking for serious answers to what has gone on, and the stranger those answers become, the more real they get, or the more information we find out. It amazes me that every time you think you're starting to get clarification in one section of this entire field, all of a sudden the woo factor gets pulled right up again.
Absolutely, and again, I know that's been suggested by some people to be by design in some way, that that we're not meant to ever understand. We're not being allowed to get to a point where we can say, well, okay, we've tidied up that part of the conundrum. We can move on to the next. There's almost this kind of spanner that gets thrown into the works as soon as we seem to get anywhere. That they'll say, well, okay, that looks like there's a reasonable argument here that UFOs are extraterrestrials, for example, and then you'll find that there's a whole load of cases that will come up where that really doesn't mesh. So it'll be, back to the drawing board. So that seems to happen almost continually. And so we haven't really come a huge distance towards solving most of the enduring mysteries of our world and our reality. And for that reason, it does seem that, that the trickster element always throws up some nonsense or something that just won't fit and allow us to say, hey, case closed here,
It is very, very strange how it all seems to tie together. But right now, as we've seen in the last couple of years, the real focus seems to all be on UFOs, because if there's anything that we can prove scientifically, UFOs, alien life, seems to be the closest to the answers that we want in this strange paranormal world. When did you start looking into the ufology section very seriously? Was it before TTSA? Was it before, people like Travis Walton came out? What piqued your interest? What really made you decide that you needed to start studying this a little bit more?
Well, I initially was interested in the UFO topic probably going back about 15 years ago or so, and I dived a bit into the literature and got a reasonable knowledge, but I later kind of focused more on ancient mysteries and psychical phenomena. Not to say that they're totally different, because of course ufology is full of ancient mysteries and psychical phenomena as well, but I kind of went more down that road, and I think partly because of the way it functions. There's a lot of fighting. There's also a lot of people calling each other, government disinfo agent. There's all the people in the subject sometimes make it a bit off-putting, I'll be honest. Also, the intangible nature that there's not a lot of physical evidence. So I kind of went down some other roads for many years, but then in the last 3-4 years, I've been pulled back to this subject area, partly because of my interest in human origins, and I know that, as you're aware, I do connect in the UFO and ET type subjects there. So that led me to then also look, see, well, what's the continuation of that today? Where are we at with the UFO topic and with possible alien contact subjects? And so for the last sort of, I guess, 3 or 4 years, I've been on catch up to see where things have got to in the topic. And of course, that's coincided with this enormous blow up of the topic in the media and an expansion into areas of the public which it never reached in the past. So you could say it's a bit of a happy coincidence, I suppose, in a way, that it just happened that that's when I was returning to the topic. It's just at the same time that the topic's exploded.
What is your opinion then of the way the topic has exploded? Is it for the good? Is it for the public betterment? Or are you riding the concerns that many of us are, that this just doesn't feel right, even though it's heading in the right direction?
I think there's always going to be an element of, let's say, whether it's cliques or cult-like thinking, that I will share a view or a perspective with probably a small number of people out there in the UFO study community, and that's fairly consistent. You'll find there are groupings, of whether ideologies or thinking on the topic, and I think TTSA, obviously, that's a bit like that. When you have a collective of people working together, usually they share some kind of worldview or some kind of direction that they're going in. So I would assume that when you have an initiative like that, that they have a certain agenda, or at least a certain belief system, right? So that's going to direct them in a certain way, even if it's not meant to be in any way nefarious, that they're still going to have their driving impetus and what they think this is about and where they think it should go. Now, might be right, or they might be wrong. I mean, if we look historically, nobody's got it all right, have they? So I would assume that they won't have it all right, so I'm wary in that. And of course, there's other groups that are getting a bit better known perhaps too, that, let's say, Stephen Greer and, his associates, and they have a direction, they have an ideology as well, which I won't absolutely agree with, but I'm sure that they have a lot right, and they have some things wrong. I think that's kind of inevitable. I don't think that we're going to have, one group of people that know it all and know what's best for everyone, and they know how to tackle this subject in total. But what is unique now is that we have people that are able to utilize the media, right? That to me is the biggest sea change, because I can't afford to have, right, a PR person who can get me in to the news. And a lot of people out there probably don't really know how that even works, right? But I mean, I was as you said in the intro, I was in the Telegraph a few years ago. Why was I in the Telegraph? I was in the Telegraph because I spoke to a PR guy in London, and I said, would you be interested in, helping with this story? Is there something in it for you, to go to someone and tell them that, I've got this project going on in Ecuador, this lost city, and, put that into the news, right? Within a couple of days, he has it in the Telegraph, in a major newspaper. Now, if I was to go emailing various journalists, that probably would have never happened, right? Because I've been considered a nobody, and I would have probably not even got any answers. But this guy took an interest, and so he got on the phone, I imagine, called one of his contacts, and has a story run in the major media. Now, few people in ufology can do that, right? Almost nobody, okay? But what TTSA and obviously Tom DeLonge and stuff have access to is that kind of network where, they know the right people to call. They can pay those people to open doors to different media groups. They obviously have their own contacts as well, over years of government work, or in Tom's case, being a celebrity. You can open those doors that most people can't. Now, is that in some way nefarious? I don't necessarily think so. I think that, let's be honest, if anyone else had those contacts or the money to do it, either way, we would utilize that. I mean, of course, I would rather my work was in a mainstream, news media platform. I would rather be able to easily facilitate a documentary on my research, etc. Who wouldn't? I mean, who wouldn't?
Well, that is very true. As we got about 6 minutes before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour, Bruce Fenton is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Bruce, you mentioned, utilizing the media. A lot of people would say that they are using the media, not utilizing them. I, for one, am somebody who has had questions. You and I have got into serious conversations on Twitter about it. So it's something that is very close to what I am talking about, what you were talking about. Do you think the way the media, in your opinion, has handled the UFO situation on this side of the pond, not your side, has been for the benefit of the public?
Well, I think that's where we have the issue. Is not so much that the person who is supplying the information, right, and that wants their stuff in the press, right. We understand their position. We understand what's going on. But the bit that's an issue is, are the journalists really doing their job? Or are they becoming a kind of glorified advertising agency, right? Because what we really want to see is, of course, investigative journalism, right? Where they say, well, okay, this story is being put on our desk. There's this team, they're well-positioned people. This is remarkable. We have, a new UFO project going on that seems to have major people in it. Like, they should then be digging into that, right? Because, of course, on the other side of it, a narrative will be given to the press, right? Again, if this was me doing a project and I had that access, I would provide my narrative, and I would want that as it is straight into public consumption. But the journalists should say, well, hang on a minute, we want to know what the hell's actually going on, and where this has come out of, why are these people involved, what's the history here? Are they all believers or, skeptics? That's what's not really happened. We haven't seen journalists really drilling down into this and saying, what the heck is going on here? Why is this story even on our desk? What's going on? That's the bit. I know that obviously you've raised this point as well. It doesn't seem that we're having good quality journalism here. We're getting an almost verbatim transfer of someone's narrative, right? And that's not really how journalism's meant to work.
So for people who don't know, how is it supposed to work?
I would want to see stories where they go in, they tackle the why these specific people, interviewing these specific people individually, because there's quite a lot of people involved, right? We've heard about one or two of them, but I've seen there's quite a long list of people in this team, and advisors and stuff. I'd want to know a bit more about these people individually. Why are they interested in this? What do they each feel that they're going to get from this, or that they want to achieve from this? Also, where is the long-term view in this? Where do they want to get to with this? I would like to know all of that. I want to know how these people have even ever come together. Did they once upon a time they've met and said, hey, did you ever see a UFO? When they're sitting in the office at work, or, what has brought these specific people together? What is it that they share in their worldview? Is there a religious undertones to it? What is it that they have that brings them together? So I'd like to know that, not just see a list of names and advisors with, vaunted positions in the past. I don't think that we're really getting to know this team, and
yes.
why it is that they can function together.
Well, here's the thing that I find interesting is we've always kind of been pseudo-taught that, you don't trust spies, you don't trust people from these alphabet agencies. They're all about the government. They have not, they don't care about Joe Citizen or Jill Citizen out there. And yet when it comes to UFOs, all of a sudden we're supposed to trust these spooks. And there are people and there are people out there, who they are. We're discussing with them on Twitter almost on a daily basis. Some very good people, some very smart people who are absolutely, eating up a lot of the information verbatim, like it's, the second coming of the Bible.
Sure. Yeah. And that this has happened historically with other people within this subject, that there's been a lot of like UFO messiahs, UFO cults, UFO these kind of collectives. That happens, right? That's part of human nature. I get that. But what I do think is unwise, as you say, is for people to just accept that narrative wholesale, which is problematic. And also, I think if we look at the intelligence community, the history of intelligence, right, it goes back to people like Dr. John Dee, right, who were mystics and stuff. And you find that there's always been links between these kind of secretive, operators and really occult and strange stuff. And most of these organizations even have occult symbolism associated with them, and have always been involved in some really strange things. A lot of the odd research that's gone on in the world has been linked to groups like, the CIA and people. So we do have to be wary and not assume that, well, he's a scientist from the government, he's associated with the secret services. So, this is a really serious person who wouldn't be involved in any woo. Now, that's absolutely historically not true at all. That some of these people, involved in some of the strangest projects imaginable, right? Well,
and that leads to another topic of this, because as we only got about 30 seconds, we may have to take this answer after the break, Bruce. But I wrote a blog last week in regards to the fact that I believe the forgotten people in this entire disclosure process right now are the experiencers. Those who have had very traumatic experiences, those who've been probed by aliens, been whittled, they have had, all sorts of weird, strange things happen to them. Maybe they've been abducted once. Maybe they've only seen a UFO on the ground. Maybe they have seen Sasquatch on these ships when they have been taken. Who knows? Yet we're not talking about them. We're not talking about the effects that it has on people. You know what? We are going to have to take that answer at the other side of the break, Bruce. I apologize, but we're going to go to break right now. Bruce Fenton is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. You can check out his website, brucefenton.info. His books are there. Check them on out. They're on Amazon as well. Talking to UFOs. We'll get into some strange and weird coming up here as well on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, Spaced Out Radio listeners, it's Dave Scott. I want you to check out a great documentary I'm involved in called Beyond the Spectrum, Mosson's UFO Files. Directed by Darcy Weir, the film follows Jaime Mosson's journey for mainstream journalistic truth in ufology in Mexico. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon Prime. If you're a member, watch it free. It's worth the watch. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Are Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters in the frozen Canadian tundra. Good to have each and every one of you with us. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Listen to our archives for free. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the Gavinator will have new features up for you soon, but you can still read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and listen to the show live as well. Tonight we are talking with author Bruce Fenton all the way over from the UK. I think the sun is just starting to come up where he is right now. Bruce, welcome back to the show. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much. And yes, it is. It's starting to get light here now,
nice.
Which is good. Banishes the evils of the night away. So
yes, we're just saying goodbye to Mr. Sun for the day.
Right, we're swapping over. But I would say you touched on a great subject before we went to the break, contactees and the experiences. And these people that, for whatever reason, have been singled out by the high strangeness, and that really should be at the heart of the conversation. One thing we are definitely not seeing a sea change on, is media coverage of those people, right? In the rare time that a story comes up dealing with an experiencer or contactee, as far as I've seen, those remain joke stories, right? So what I would like to see is that change, because we know that looking through the history of ufology, and not just ufology, the paranormal, that there has always been that kind of, dismissive attitude about the actual people at the heart of it. And I think with the UFOs, there's a tendency to focus on the objects, right? And that, the photos, the videos, or what did it look like? What color was it? How fast do you think it was going? And that really hasn't got anyone anywhere, We know that. We know that staring at the UFO has done little but entrance people, right? What we really need is to understand what is the effect on people? What is it these things are doing, right? And the only way we can get anything about that at the moment is by dealing with the people that they have done something to.
Yes, but the part of that issue too is the public ready for the experiencer? Because let's face it, there are a lot of people out there who want their 15 minutes of fame. They don't want to, be a part of the field of ufology. They just want to make sure that their story is heard. Maybe if it's good enough, get a television series or a documentary show out of it, or heaven forbid, Hollywood comes calling. Mm-hmm. And we see that all the time. But there are people out there who are having some real legitimate stories. And like I said in my recent blog, these people who have had contact one way or another, they are the forgotten souls right now. They are the ones who really aren't being paid attention to, because everybody is so focused that the government is going to give up every one of their secrets, that the government is going to tell us what's happening with disclosure. Everything is going to be along those lines, and we're never going to see it the way we want. The narrative will always be controlled, yet the people who've experienced some pretty heinous things at times are the ones who lose again.
That's absolutely right. And there hasn't been much of a backlash against the way the media has covered this subject in the last couple of years. You know, I'm glad to see journalists interested in topics like ufology. You know, I'm glad to see if they cover, you know, remote viewing or whatever, you know, because these are important topics, right? They're all important subjects. So when we get those big stories, you know, in major platforms, yeah, of course, like, I'm glad that's happening. But what we're not seeing yet is that recognition of these stranger elements that, you know, it's cut down to a consumable product that the majority of people can consume, right? Which is, we live in a consumer culture. We live in a culture as well, which does promote the idea of the 5 seconds of fame. So it is going to encourage us to have some of the stories where it's just people making things up as well. And that's actually now built into our culture, where people will smoke Tide Pods to have some extra clicks on their YouTube channel. So, I mean, we're definitely going to have that as a problem. But what I would like to see is really, is an attempt to say, okay, well, look, if we're going to take these topics seriously, you know, it's no good just looking at the phenomena in some sort of abstract way, which, you know, we hear this term, the phenomena, quite a lot now, which encompasses a broad swathe of strangeness. But how can we do that without looking at the ones that experience the phenomena? You know, it doesn't really make any sense to me. And that whenever those people are talked to, those remain usually this, you know, the silly hour stories, right, in the news, not serious conversations about, you know, what has happened to this person. And like, we can say, oh, look, he's crazy. But look, the truth is, look, if we encountered someone who was genuinely mentally ill, what's the last thing you would say to them? Wouldn't it be that, oh, you're crazy? You know, because we'd actually be quite compassionate, wouldn't we? Because we consider that an illness, right? So if a person is genuinely mentally unwell and this is what is causing them to see things, I don't think we'd be going, you know, you're a nut job, you know, you're crazy. So we obviously know that these people are mentally well. Right? Most of these people are not mentally ill, most of them, right? That you can tell when you're talking to someone who's sane, rational, but has had a strange event or an experience that they don't know how to interpret. So the first thing we should do is drop that idea that we can just say you're nuts, because we know that that's not what's going on. So if someone's able to articulate a strange experience, we should want to know from a psychological point of view what is going on with them. You know, what is happening here? You know, we can't just brush it off when we know that really this isn't just mental illness. You know, there's something complex here. We don't see that really happening. We don't see the psychologists and psychiatrists and, you know, the people coming in and really breaking down, how could this experience happen? You know, is there something in the neurology of the brain? You know, is there anything that all of that is not really happening. We're not getting the detailed collection of the experiences, certainly not by mainstream scientists, right? We have a few researchers that have done this over the years, but we don't have really a large, well-organized, funded effort to do this. Yeah, and I think this pointing at the UFO is a distraction for me because, when you all say, oh, look, and now there's squares in circles and there's mushrooms and, yeah, that's great, right? There's always been a whole wide variety of weird things flying around. But we are not going to get further without drilling down into these people and saying, well, what actually happened to you or what was happening to you before you saw it? What was happening that day even? What was going on in your life? Because we often find that it's not happening in isolation. You find that these people have already had strange things going on, right? Or afterwards, there is a whole period where they have other weird things happening to them. Like we have not heard about, say, these pilots that were involved with, the couple of very well-known incidents we've had with the Tic Tac and obviously with these cubes in spheres, right? What was going on with those witnesses? Are these people that had psychic phenomena before? Had they had UFO experiences before? Were they contactees themselves? Or what happened to them afterwards? I know very little about these people, from the news. What I know about is what they saw, right? And I don't think that's good enough. And I'd like to know, why is it happening to that person? Why did that pilot get the full-on, it's right next to you, here I am, why that person? Do you know what I mean, Dave? These are the sort of things that people are not looking at. They're not asking.
They aren't asking what is happening either. They aren't asking what's happening to them. They aren't giving any responses. They are playing it off as if right now it's non-existent. We're seeing that with the narrative where we're not allowed to say UFO anymore. It's UAP. We've also been told that we cannot use the word aliens with UFOs or UAPs because they are completely two different subjects. Is this a way to deflect people from what is going on, in your opinion, Bruce?
Well, I've got little doubt that, the change in the terminology is to create a sort of a safe space for this discussion and to separate it off so that there's a woo subject, of UFOs, and a sensible subject that you can discuss over dinner, which is these aerial phenomena or whatever, or these unidentified aerial phenomena. I mean, that I can see is, without really any doubt, is that good or bad? I mean, there are mixed views. In one respect, I understand that that's to do with how the media has been essentially shaped to look at the topic. So now people coming in are saying, well, how do we reboot this in a way we can get news stories out there which won't be seen as silly season, right? So that's partly a phenomenon to do with the media. So I'm not going to say that's just on the side of these organized parties that are looking to control the narrative. I think they also recognize that to get the media to do this and to get a public that has been shaped to be inherently like knee-jerk skeptical, that they're using this change in terminology for that. But of course it does give the advantage of them being able to then shave off all of this high strangeness, right, which is a problem because the high strangeness is the phenomena, right? So how do you do that? How do you take it back to being, well, we're just dealing with craft, that are flying around. Somebody's got this technology. We need to understand it, bringing it back to a militaristic kind of scenario. There's objects that we need to know who's got these craft, how to defend ourselves against them, et cetera, et cetera. And that is a dishonest approach because a lot of them clearly aren't even craft. They're not even physical craft, right? I mean, if you look at the existing database of encounters, there's a lot of them that are non-physical. That's very clear because, for a start, they can change shape. They can turn from a glowing orb into humanoids or into black helicopters. People are witnessing those transformations, right? On top of that, obviously, you have these vanishings, reappearances, if all sorts of strangeness with them passing through things and whatnot. So if this was just physical metal vehicles, that's not what we'd be seeing, right? So there's straight away some dishonesty in there about the phenomena. It's not just craft, right? Some of them act as if they're alive. They seem to be life forms, right? Some of them seem to be organic. People have encountered what look like at first perhaps craft, but they are soft, squishy, smell of rotting wood, or give off gases, right, when you're near them. What kind of craft are they then, that seems to be alive? And again and again, you see encounters where people say, I'm sure that the object was alive, right? Even in some famous instances, we have in fact, we have one of the first encounters with I'm trying to think of the guy's name now. Flying his plane, encountered, was it 7 craft? Later, it spurned the term flying saucers. Who am I thinking of? I'm trying to think now what the guy's name was. But one of the original, we actually spurned the term flying saucers. Anyway, do you know what I'm thinking of, Dave?
Yes.
Whose name am I forgetting?
It's
Kenneth Arnold.
Washington State. Kenneth Arnold. There it is.
Right. Even Kenneth Arnold himself, he later said, I'm sure that they were life forms themselves, that these were living things. The way that they moved, the way that they were shifting shape, right? I believe that they were organisms of some sort, right? So people forget stuff like that. That some of these high-level people in the subject and some of these really important cases, they don't come to the conclusion that these are advanced craft with aliens on board. They actually suspect that this is something else, either life forms or, in other cases, psychical phenomena. So how can we just shave that off of the topic and say, well, let's look at these advanced propulsion alien crafts or whatever? It's not that simple, and we can't make it that simple.
Bruce Fenton is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We are talking UFOs, craft, experiencers. In regards to the experiences people are having and the way that this new narrative has kind of pushed away from aliens and UFOs, which really, really does affect those who have had some sort of strange experience or anomalous experience. Do we see it changing anytime soon to start pushing towards getting to those experiences again? Getting to those stories, getting to those traumatic sightings that people have had?
Well, I think there's an inevitability because it's so many people that have had these experiences. That there's, if you talk to people, who are not going to be put in a position where their name is going to be known, or where they can't end up with the backlash. Most people, I would say, have had some kind of high strangeness experience. Now, that might not be UFOs, but I think that the public in general, are very aware high strangeness is part of our world, right? No matter how much they might, if put in a situation with other people, they might deny that, they might laugh off other people's experiences. But I think the fact that so many people have had them, and that, we have these religions which are founded on high strangeness, right, with billions of people in them. So again, the idea that we are in some sort of atheistic, rational, logical world, dismissive of strange phenomena, is completely ridiculous, because the vast majority of people accept these spiritual forces are out there, and that there are strange phenomena going on, right? So I don't see how it can be avoided for very long before they'll have to tackle things like the alien abduction experience, right? For example, which is so deeply connected to the UFO topic that how do you tackle one without the other, right? How long can you go before there'll be some kind of push on you to say, well, hey, what about the abductees? These people that say they're going on to these flying objects and that say they're having experiences on them. I don't see that you can go on ignoring that, no matter who you are, no matter what level of control you have in the media or the narrative. I think at some point it's going to come back around. And I know we've seen like Luis Elizondo, for example. He's actually said that one of the benefits of leaving his role in the Secret Services was that it allows him to talk to the people, right, to the public. Okay, well, that's great. In that case, does that mean that you are going to now be looking at those many, 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 this voluminous accounts from the public in which you have these kind of abduction experiences and these contact experiences, these downloads, because if you're saying that that's what you wanted access to and you didn't have the access before, then, well, now you have. So when are you going to talk about it? Surely you have to then make that a really key part of whatever kind of disclosure process you're in, right? I can't see how anyone that knows this topic, right, would go out and discuss it without mentioning those aspects, right? Nobody would. So how long can they do that? How long can they go forward without going, well, okay, now we need to talk about these other people? And if they don't, then something is definitely terribly wrong.
Do you believe then that, in what you said about Elizondo, where he says, I am very much happy to be away from it so I can talk to the public, yet there's a lot of I don't knows. There's a lot of I can't tell yous. And I understand he's got a security oath. Yeah. And I would never ask anybody to break theirs. That's not fair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you're denying media requests, when you are, not getting into the subject as fully as you want, are you really doing the public a benefit? And I'm saying that with all due respect to Lou, because from everybody I have talked to who has talked with him, met him, they say he's a pretty nice guy. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that in that position, look, if we had knowledge we couldn't share, and because of our former career paths, I can appreciate that. But there's always ways around that because, of course, you can simply refer to cases that are already known that are similar to the things that but that you can't directly refer to, right? And just bring those up instead, and say, well, look, it's something I can't talk about, but look, this is a really important aspect of the subject. I can't tell you why, but, you need to know about X, Y, and Z in that area. I can't give you everything I know, but this is what I can point to is known cases. Because we have a wide database of cases, right? It's enormous, really. If people really dig, for example, the idea that we need disclosure. I mean, I'm very I'm skeptical about that. I think if people were willing to, or had the time and were willing and dug into the cases, I mean, you could pretty much come away feeling that you have a kind of disclosure, right? Because, you know, if you take the time, you find that there's this wealth of information. Yeah. If people are just coming into this now, say, you know, 2 years ago, or they've just got into the subject because, say, Tom DeLonge has got TCSA going, and that's, you know, that's where they've come in, you know, then they would be thinking, well, what we need is more information. We need disclosure. But then, you know, if you've been in these topic areas for, say, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right, then you're already feeling like you have a good chunk of what the heck's going on, right? You know, you don't know the whole story. I don't think anyone knows the whole story, but you're not desperately clinging on for the government to tell you anything. I mean, I know I'm not. I don't know about you, Dave. Are you desperate for the government to reveal it all?
I don't need any answers for myself, because I know what's going in my world. I know what's going on. I just have that simple question that most experiencers have, and that's why me. That's all I want to know.
Right. And I think that's, again, that goes to that thing of not drilling down into the experiences and finding the links between them. And I know that if we look historically, there's been a few people who've been good at that. For example, John Keel, you know, and obviously Jacques Vallée has gone into these kind of areas where, you know, to look at the experiences and to see the strange web of connectivity between the experiences, right? And you start to find patterns in that data, a lot of which don't fit well with some of the popular narratives, you know, that this is all an alien invasion, you know, and that they're coming for us. They don't fit with that. And that we find that there's certain types of people who have experiences, usually people who are already quite intuitive or in some way psychic, right? They seem to be, they stand out. And also it seems that there are, you know, genetic aspects to this, because there's a hereditary aspect to contact experiences, right, and to other psychical experiences. You know, we know that that's part of the story. So is there something in the human genome, right, which is perhaps both allowing people to have those experiences and also perhaps allowing something else to target those people, you know, in some kind of strange feedback loop, because that to me is indicated in the data. Right, that's something we should be looking at. You know, is there something genomic here? Right, neurologically, is there something different about some people? And we know that there is, because, you know, there's some pioneering work being done by people like Dr. Gary Nolan and, you know, I believe Kit Green and people that, you know, they've been looking at some of these areas. Right, they know that there are areas in the brain, right, which seem to be different. They're looking at these ganglions in the brain, the caudate putamen, and, you know, that seem to be structurally more complex and enhanced in people that have had contact type experiences, right? Also potentially in people that are naturally intuitives, you know, your mediums and shamans and people. So I think that we've got two elements there which are really key. I mean, you know, is this process that we're seeing now, is it going to tackle that? Because I think that's crucially important. You know, if there's something actually about us at the genetic level, right, which is causing some people to have these experiences and not others, right, that again infers that this isn't just aliens coming down randomly, you know, taking people to analyze stuff, but there's something about the phenomenon that's very intimate, right, really intimate with people. And on top of that, it seems that, you know, it's that there's definitely targeted people, right? So what is going on there?
Absolutely. And on that note, I'm going to get you to hold on, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Bruce Fenton is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to get into Mars. We're going to get into UFOs, aliens, who's coming here, what's going on, how long have they been coming here? Bruce has the answers. His website, brucefenton.info. Make sure you check it out. His books are on Amazon as well. Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio right after this.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother is watching.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com. Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hey fans, it's Dave Scott. Do I have something for you to check out? A great documentary about legendary Mexican investigative journalist Jaime Maussan and his search for the truth about UFOs. Beyond the Spectrum, Maussan's UFO files can be found on Amazon Prime. It's free to watch if you're a member. You might even hear me in it. So check out Beyond the Spectrum, only on Amazon Prime. The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacey, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi to everyone listening in on 107.7 FM UPRN in New Orleans. In Ridgecrest, California, KZFX 93.7 FM. We're on in Noonan, Georgia, WQEE 99.1 FM, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, and KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Don't forget, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Bedelotomy. Bedelotomy is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where you can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, listen to the show live. The Gavinator will have new features coming very, very soon. We are talking with Bruce Fenton tonight on Spaced Out Radio. It is all about aliens, UFOs, disclosure, ancient aliens, Mars. We're going to hit a plethora of topics tonight. His website, brucefenton.info, if you want to check it out. His books are on Amazon. Bruce, pardon me. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. Really appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And, I'm glad we're covering some of these important topics. I think they're important. I don't care if other people don't. I certainly do.
I agree. I have taken a lot of heat from many members of my audience saying, really, TTSA again, UFOs again. But when you have a topic like this that potentially could affect every single person on this planet, we just can't drop the ball. We can't.
No. It's a massive topic, and again, with the sea change in the media comes a need for the independent media to really analyze what's going on. I mean, that really the purpose of having a fringe and independent media was really to counter some of the narratives that we see, in the mainstream, because we know the mainstream is highly controlled, highly regulated, infiltrated by, deep state people. This isn't conspiracy, that's, I think, now quite understood, and that they've for a long time have been used, certainly certain media platforms have been used as propaganda mouthpieces. I mean, we saw that in the build up to the Iraq war. So if anyone thinks that we have some kind of transparent, honest, media, I mean, you got to be off your Swede, haven't you? Because it's so if we don't then always have some degree of suspicion of where is this taking us, then we end up, in situations like in Iraq, killing, loads and loads of kids for no reason, right? So we do have to be skeptical when a narrative is fed to us through these major media platforms. Doesn't mean automatically they're lying, right? But we have to question, and we have to look again and again and see, what is smelling good and what's smelling bad, And I think that's important. So, people say it's repeating it, but if you're drilling down and you get closer to the facts, that's great.
I want to ask you about winners and losers here. When you look at what's happened over the last 18, 20 months, who's winning, who's losing?
Well, look, definitely the independent kind of long-standing fringe researchers, are losing, really, because they're going to get pushed to the side, no matter how many decades of effort they've put in, and trying to reach the public through what little means they have, because most of the people in these subject areas are not wealthy, and the few that are don't seem to have used their money in a way that I think has been that sensible, or I don't know what their real aims are, but certainly they don't seem to have achieved as much as they would if I had millions of dollars, put it that way. So it does seem that the little guy researcher is the loser, and that the other side of it, we have obviously people that have influence or been in government or been in the military. These people are winning. So if they have a crafted narrative, then they are definitely winning. They're getting it out there, right? The smaller guys are not.
Do you believe then that in the end there will be a winner or a loser in this?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the public loses. If they don't get the balanced view, right, then the public loses. Because how can you be informed if you're getting only one side of a story? And in this instance, it's the side of the story that we know historically doesn't really take us very far. This focus on the craft. How fast did it go? What color was it? How many flashes per minute did it have? Has that got us anywhere? Right, in 70 years, what did that side of it achieve? Whereas there's some really interesting stuff has come out of those researchers who have looked at contactees and so, that's some really fascinating material. But the nuts and bolts researchers have not brought us a lot, right? In those 70 years where they've been working, they have really not brought us a lot. So if that's where it's going, then we could be dragged along for a long time without the public really learning what the heck's happening.
Do you believe then that what we have been seeing about trying to break down what these craft are technology-wise, what they're made of, the metamaterials, is that even relevant to the cause, or is that just something that we need to be focusing on to try and figure out how they are maneuvering the way they are?
Look, I think it's important to have people that are looking at that. I just don't think that should be the larger part of what's happening in the research. I mean, yes, look, we'd like to understand it. If there's technologies there that could benefit humanity, great. I mean, though, I think most of us would imagine it will be first military development, public second. So, I mean, while we have the kind of leaderships we have now, I don't even know if I would want that technology, being quite honest. I don't know if I would want the current governments of Europe and the US or the Middle East or most places right now to have some kind of super advanced technology, because what I see that being used as is to probably destroy, what little joys that we have in the world, so I'm quite wary of that, this idea that we need that right now, because we don't have benevolent leaderships, right? So the military kind of implications of some of what we've observed with this phenomena, I don't know if I'd want our governments and military to have access to that. You're not being facetious. I just think that could be quite dangerous. Anyway, but certainly I do understand. Yes, we want some scientists looking at how these things function and how they work. But we also have to be careful, because there's a history here of assuming that what we should find is exotic materials, right? And that we are looking for the isotope ratios that will basically prove these are either extraterrestrial or other dimensional. And that when we don't find that, when we find things that seem quite terrestrial involved with the phenomena, there's a bit of a tendency to discount that and say, well, that must be a hoax. But we find a lot of aluminium, for example, right, associated with events in ufology. We find silicon. We find other very terrestrial, so without any kind of special isotopic values. Now, does that mean that it's all a hoax or it's all the government? Not necessarily, right? Because if we have something that is here and that has been here for a long time, right, and let's say that some aspect of it is physical and engineers physical objects, right, well, why can't it engineer it from material that's here? If it's here, right, why hasn't it got access to the same materials that we have, right? So again, there's assumptions that are made. If it's just terrestrial, it gets dropped. Everyone's looking for some kind of signature of it being from another reality or from another planet. Now, I think that's unwise, because it seems like these things have been here a long time.
It's very true. They do seem to have been here a long time. But are we focusing too much to maybe take away from the fact that there may be aliens on these ships, that there may be ships from a different star world or planet, wherever they may be? Because we're looking at these and we're saying that they're alien, but they're not alien. The technology says we've never seen this before. Our professional pilots say we've never seen this before. This is not of this world. Yet we're not allowed to say it's alien.
Right. Yeah. That's been something that's been controlled in this media narrative, that this, you're not supposed to go there, but there's no other sensible suggestion for what it is. And even with an interdimensional hypothesis, which I prefer over beings traveling through space. And again, I don't think there's one answer that covers everything, right? But I think in general what we see doesn't fit very well with things that are flying through space arriving here. I mean, for example, those you'd expect to be detected in space. That we do have a lot of equipment looking outwards, right? So, but even if we say they're coming through portals or they're coming through wormholes, this kind of, which I imagine is what an advanced, truly far advanced civilization would have access to, that even then they are technically still alien, right? They're still kind of extraterrestrial. If we assume that they have a world they live on, even if it's, whether it's on the other side of the universe or if it's in another dimension, that they are still extraterrestrial in that sense, right? They are alien, yeah? So that can be a bit of semantics, you could say, because, I sometimes say that they're not extraterrestrial, but they are in that way. I try to separate off interdimensional and extraterrestrial, but we can't totally, yeah, because it's still very similar when you get to the core of it. And so we have to recognize that, if we only have a certain number of solutions, and some of these things, yeah, I think are living, life forms, maybe living energy, right? But that's just a proportion of them. I don't think that there's one thing that catches all. So we should be looking at all of those models, right? We should be looking at, are some of these organisms in space? Now, there's some great STS footage from several of the NASA, STS missions in which we see one particular type, right, of object, which is these circles with a small black dot in the middle and with a little cut taken out of one side, right? They're in loads of STS videos, right? Those to me look like a life form. They look like some kind of large amoeba or a jellyfish or some kind of fungal head, right? I suspect strongly those are an organic life form that lives just on the edges of space, right? There's no reason why we can't have that, though, and other things that appear to be metallic, right? And others that seem to be crystalline. So I don't think that we can just say that there's just one answer. I think that, yes, we've got life forms. Yes, we've probably got AI probes here, from other civilizations. Yes, there's interdimensional travel. And there's also something that's purely psychical, something that may even be, projections coming out of our own DNA, something really bizarre that's going on. And that all those things can be concurrent. They don't need to be mutually exclusive.
Mm-hmm. So when you look at the way the narrative is being controlled right now, there's a lot of people who say there is no narrative. There's a lot of people saying, what is the narrative that is being controlled? What is the modus operandi of groups like the TTSA or the Navy coming out saying, oh, well, we've never really looked into these and never held on to the evidence, but we're going to start now, even though they had the footage stored from 2004 and the Nimitz. Or the Pentagon coming out, and the Pentagon coming out and saying, we look into UFOs, but nobody asks them any tough questions. What happened to Roswell?
Well, yeah, and these are strange matters because, I mean, not only do we have Roswell, you know, there's at least 2 or 3 other events in the same year, wasn't there? So we have a whole cluster of these events, which with similar kind of backstories. There's an interesting framework here because, you know, I wrote an article a few weeks back about an event in Wales, okay, where an object, look, I mean, basically like the Roswell story. Farmer goes out to his field, right, finds what looks like aluminium debris scattered across an area with about 3 football fields, right? So a large amount of debris scattered around. So he calls the police. The police, you know, they don't know what to do. They call the Air Force Crash Investigation Unit. They come, they look at it, they say it doesn't seem to be from any known, you know, planes. They're not aware of any craft going down in the area. So they then pass this on to the MOD, the Ministry of Defence in the UK, right? MOD turns up, right? They cordon it off. They've got the lights out and everything there. They're collecting every little piece of this debris. They also say that they don't know what it is. They confirm there's been no radar hits on anything in the area. There is no known downed craft, right? They collect every little piece that they can of this debris. One newspaper runs the story. This is quite weird when you think about it as well. You've got that event. The local news don't even cover it. One newspaper, the Sunday Express, runs a short piece. This is back in 1983, and the story just says, you know, strange debris from out of the sky, and in it, you know, explains roughly what's happened. A UFO researcher in North Wales hears about it. He rushes down to the site with a team. Obviously, the debris has been collected, but the farmer says, you know, go and have a look around. You're welcome to have a look. I don't think you'll find anything. They notice some broken trees at the edges of his fields. They go into this little copse of trees and they find debris, right? So they take pieces of this and keep it. Okay. Why is this important? It's important because when you look at some of the debris that's held in that case, you have this honeycomb aluminium, right? This really pure aluminium. It's apparently unusually pure. I haven't seen the test results. However, what's really interesting is this honeycomb, right? With this, and it's sandwiched between 2 layers of thin metal with a green vinyl-looking coating on one side with hexagonal patterning. Now, why is that important? That's important because when you look at some of the debris that's come up from the US, for example, from a site out, I think it's San Augustine, there was a alleged UFO crash in 1947. I believe as well, and that's one of these concurrent events with Roswell. What they found there was this same honeycomb. Right? Exact same. Looks the same. There's some pictures online. You'll be able to compare it. You'll see there's the same. They also highlight that there was an event in Japan and you have the same honeycomb. Right? What the hell's going on there? Why isn't, say, that a question for these people? You know, like you say, what these hard questions? Tell us about that then. You know, if Roswell's not real, and if these events in the US are not real, what's going on here then? Why are we seeing the same type of debris appearing at other UFO crash sites? You know, if this is a government, you know, project, then say TTSA, and these people should kind of be able to find out something about that, right? Because, you know, they would have some knowledge, but they've been very certain that this is not a US military project, right? That's what they've told us. They're very certain. Okay, well then please explain this strange coherence in these UFO crash events where we're seeing physical debris which matches between different events and over time. So what the hell's that about? Why isn't that getting tackled? You know, they should have some knowledge. Look, if I have some knowledge of those events and you have some knowledge of these events, are we really meant to believe that these guys don't? Right? Because they're not talking about them.
Well, that's the big debate. That is the big debate. Who's talking about it? What should we be talking about? What is the story?
Because surely those patterns, when you see the pattern, that's the threads, isn't it? When you want to pull on a thread, it's the links and the patterns and so. So, I mean, those are the kind of cases that we really should focus on, particularly ones where there's physical debris. Yeah, because that's seen as like a holy grail, right, of the subject, the physical debris, the whatever slivers were left from Roswell, you know, that kind of stuff. I know that in other people's views, these would be the relics, because I know if we look at the religious or cult-like aspects of our subject, obviously some of these things are also the holy relics. But either way you look at it, these are really important artifacts that, they tell us something about this phenomena, that there's this coherence, and that we know that there is at least some physicality here. This is not entirely psychical. This is not, and if it is, it's psychical in the sense of almost a telekinetic, building things from background reality or something, because there's definitely a physical aspect here where things interact with us. They can, blow apart, they can leave debris. There's something else there which we can casually look at. And I think that would have been where some of these journalists, investigative journalists, should have been on them, saying, well, what does your team think about, these classical cases, these UFO crashes? What do you make of them? Have you looked at the debris? Is there any debris? Why aren't the journalists asking about that? Because they would soon find that, yes, there are. And if these people were to say, no, we're not aware of anything like that, well, that'd be untrue. I mean, we know that, for example, TTSA has a division, the Adam Project, right, which is looking at debris. Yeah. So that should be coming up as a much bigger topic as well. I mean, there's whisperings that, some of the material, there was a piece that was provided to them by Lyndon Moulton Howe, which, again, came allegedly from a US crash site, and that they're looking at that, and that seems to have some properties, allegedly has some, very spectacular anti-gravity type properties. But what about all these other ones that aren't talked about? Because they're saying that has to be kind of kept secret because it's in development, it's in research. Okay, great. But what about the ones that are out there? These other pieces, why can't they be discussed? Why aren't they being used as part of this story? Because surely that's crucial evidence. I don't see, look, if I was sitting down with the journalists from, the New York Times, right, I'm not just going to say about how the Navy needs a better reporting. I'm going to be telling them, look, there's debris here, here, and here. Right, there's contactees who have these experiences happening to them. There is, there is this changes in the brain. Right, there's genetic traces. Like, that would be part of what I'm saying. You best believe I wouldn't let that journalist get away from me until he had a good mega download into his brain, right, where he is left shell-shocked and thinking, what the hell do I do with all this? Because that is the story, right? It's not just that we need better reporting or, I mean, in terms of the military, better reporting. It's not just that. And it's not just that we need a public debate or Congress reviewing. I want a journalist to talk directly to the public and say, well, you know what I found out? I dug into this. Turns out there's all this debris. Turns out people's brains are getting modified. Aren't these the subject? I mean, Christ.
I get you. But that is the big debate. We only got about a minute here before, and in the next half hour, I want to get to some of our audience questions because they are starting to pile up here, and I want to make sure that we get their questions in because they're pretty smart. They're pretty good people around here. Mm-hmm. And let's make sure we give them the time that they deserve as well. But in regards to the way things are going right now, are we any closer to any answers? Give me about a 35-second answer.
Sure. I think that the community of researchers are closer to that. I don't know that the public is getting much that will take them closer to any answers. So I guess, it depends on where you're at. If you're deeply in the topic, yes, you would have been seeing that there's stuff coming out that forwards the discussion, forwards an understanding. I don't know that the public's getting any of that. I said the general public.
Yeah, I don't know how much they are getting at all. I mean, the focus isn't on the field of ufology. The focus seems to be trying to get the message out to the mainstream media, and the mainstream public, which seem to be a little bit blinded by their five senses attitudes. We already believe. We don't need convincing, but we could get into that right after this. Bruce Fenton is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. His website, brucefenton.info. You can find his books on Amazon. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio and your questions right after this. Hey, Spaced Out Radio listeners, it's Dave Scott. I want you to check out a great documentary I'm involved in called Beyond the Spectrum, Mosson's UFO Files. Directed by Darcy Weir, the film follows Jaime Mosson's journey for mainstream journalistic truth in ufology in Mexico. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon Prime. If you're a member, watch it free. It's worth the watch.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you will be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We've passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, hanging out with all of you from the frozen Canadian tundra that we call SOR headquarters. Reminder, if you've missed most of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we're having a plethora of features built for you by the Gavinator. They'll be up soon. You can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and listen to the show live right now. Tonight we are talking with researcher Bruce Fenton. His books are found on Amazon. His website, brucefenton.info. It's about, I'm going to say, what is it, 7:30 in the morning there? 6:30 in the morning there right now?
Yes, 6:30, yep.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So the sun is officially up in the United Kingdom right now. Good morning, United Kingdom.
Blue skies.
Thank you so much for tuning us in. I know we have, I think we have one person, Jim in our chat room. He's from the UK as well. So
hopefully he's having a nice cup of tea then at this time in the morning.
Probably. Get to a couple questions from our audience right off the bat. One of our good listeners, Mark, truck driver. Make sure you honk your horn, Mark. He wants to know what your opinion is about remote viewers.
Right, well, I mean, I say about them, about the phenomena, I suppose. I mean,
yes.
Well, I think if it's
real, not real.
Yeah, real, definitely real. I mean, I've had some limited experience myself. I was actually at a conference a few years ago in Mexico, and there was a presentation and workshop headed up by Russell Targ, which most people who are aware of remote viewing will know. Russell Targ was part of the Project Stargate. Project, and that he was one of their main guys, that helped with developing the protocols and all that. And he actually, he led an exercise at the thing. It was really good. He had an object in a box, and so you have to take your notepad out. You try and sense what's in the box. You try and feel it, taste it, touch it. Use whatever senses you feel appropriate to give you some sense of what's in that box, right? And so you draw or write down what you get, and so you might find you've just got straight lines, or you've got words, or whatever it is. And it was actually, it was really good. I mean, what we had is most people had some strong correlations with elements of the object, right? And you know that at the end, the box will be opened and you'll see it. It's important that you know that there will be a validation to make the phenomena work. It seems it needs to have that. And what we actually had was one person, and this guy, the strange thing about it was there was a guy there with his wife she's a professional psychic. He was, I think, a lights engineer or something like that, really no interest in these topics. And he actually drew the thing as it was, and it was this it was a Hindu sun wheel with Shiva holding a sun wheel, and he'd drawn the whole thing right as it was. Other people, I had circles, jagged shapes, I had bits of it, but yeah, this guy had it absolute. So I mean, the chances that someone is going to literally just guess that it's a Shiva with a sun wheel is so wildly remote, right? So there's definitely something going on there. My wife is quite good at remote viewing, I have to say. I mean, she did when we first were sort of getting together. I asked her. I'm a bit mean sometimes, I suppose. Test people. I asked her, did she get any sense about where I was? I was at home in England. She was, in Spain at the time. And she started telling me, in this room, there's this orange paint. I can see all these stars and stuff. Like my mum had drawn stars all over the ceiling in the spare room, right? And she's trying, it was all orange. And, she's telling me, this almost seeing through my eyes. So I'm aware on a personal level that this stuff works. But of course, if you look at the Project Stargate and we look at the recent documentary, Third Eye Spies, they provide plenty of evidence in that film that, the CIA and other agencies were utilizing this. And even today, the Navy, I believe, still have their own remote viewing program. So would all of these branches of the military and the intelligence community be involved with this if it didn't work?
I don't know.
I think not.
I think there's a lot more to remote viewing than what we actually know. I do believe that, let's face it, when you get some of these funky psychic type tools, why not play with them if you're the government? The Russians have had high success with them.
Yep. Absolutely. And look, and I think it's comprehensible that we would be able to do this. I mean, once you understand that we live in a completely connected, seamlessly connected reality, but if you get to the fundamental level, in quantum level and all that, but there is only this one seamless thing. I am not disconnected from my chair. I am not disconnected from the air in the room, right? At that level, you can't, if you go down to that small level, you will not see me. You will not see a chair. You will not see a table. We know that it's seamless. It's just this sea of what seems to be possibility and information, right? So if I am the sea, why can't I sense things about other things that are in that ocean, right? So we have to, once you step out of the materialist view that there is a distinct person sitting in a underground facility somewhere that I'm remote viewing, right? And thinking, well, how can you see all the way to there? Well, you're not seeing, you are them, right? So it gets into some really weird areas which people don't like to go down, but I am the room, I am the facility that I'm spying. I am that. So on some level, there's no particular reason. The strange bit is that we don't have that all the time. The strange bit is the regulating of experience, that we experience ourselves as this cut-off unit of me, right, who is separate from everything, right? That's actually the strange bit, because we know that that's fundamentally untrue.
Renee wants to know what you think about the joke of storming Area 51 in September.
Yeah, well, I understand that we live in an age of the meme. So firstly, if people see something popular, they're all going to click on it. I'm dubious as to how many of these people were really interested in what was in Area 51 or even interested in topics like UFOs. I mean, someone is saying using this as a bellwether to say that the people are so angry and that they all want to know. But look, I mean, we have to be aware that when something's being in the press, and that they're saying, 1 million people, we know it's going to be 2 million, it's going to be 3 million, 5 million. Does that mean that those people were that bothered about it before? Probably not. But yes, there's going to be some proportion in there of people who genuinely, would like to know, is there alien craft in there? I mean, I suppose everyone would to a degree, but there's people that are passionate in there. But I don't think that they're the larger part. Do I think that anyone's going to attempt it? It's possible. There are people that are willing to die for their beliefs, and we know that's in any subject area. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to hear that some of these people take it very seriously and do attempt to do that. Don't think that's a good idea. You've got to go through the desert, you've got to go through the military. it's not that easy. It's not going to be very easy. But yeah, I generally think it's a bit more into the silly meme category. I've seen people who are hoping to kind of harness this and, you know, and turn these millions of people to them, to their channels, to what they're putting out. And again, I don't think that's going to work out either. I think these people mostly will fade away as the meme becomes unpopular.
Yeah, I hope so too. I really, you know what? For the million people who have said they're going and the million people who are interested, it only takes about 10 to 15 people to take this very seriously. Whether they want to be a headline, whether they have mental issues, whatever the case may be, there will be people who show up there on September 20th. That's the sad part.
Yeah. And the press are guilty. And let's be honest, the press are guilty in so many of these kind of things because, you know, I remember things like when glue sniffing became a thing. Why did glue sniffing become a thing? Because the media started saying about how people were getting high on glue. Right. Nobody thought about it sitting at school that you could sniff your glue. You know, it never occurred to you until it became a news story, a big thing. Oh, free kids sniffed glue. You know, and then before you know it, you have an epidemic of glue sniffing, right? And we see that again and again. And again, the mass shooting thing. You know, if they didn't report every single mass shooting, massive reporting of it, people wouldn't feel it was a way to be noticed, would they? You know, so we know that there's unwise reporting, and it happens too often. And again, I think that's the case here. That, you know, if something happens, I hope the journalists who have pushed this story remember that it's their fault.
Well, is it the journalist's fault, or is it the gentleman
to some degree
brought up this Facebook group?
Well, I suppose you could say that, you know, I don't know. I would put it more on the media as well, because they do understand the way these things work, right? That, you know, they've decided, put out they wanted this, one of these sort of, it's a slow news day. Oh, look, there's this meme that's popular. But they know that once they put that out there, that it will go from being a few people to millions of people. So, I mean, they have some responsibility to that, right? If something goes wrong, I would like to think they understand that they did probably raise it up to people who would have never heard of it, including perhaps some of the more, you know, destabilized, unbalanced people out there who just catch on to it, who are probably not even interested in UFOs, but think maybe this is something that will give meaning to my life, that I will die finding the aliens at Area 51. You know, you start to bring in those kind of people who, you know, not wise to give them those kind of ideas. So I don't know, but yes, and I guess you can say there's always self-responsibility, there's public responsibility, there's media responsibility. So it's going to be on a few people, you know, to be honest.
Do you think that we are being visited on a frequent basis?
Yes, I think we're being visited by different things. You know, again, when people say visited, do they mean just aliens from, you know, Zargon 7, or, you know, do we also include, you know, phenomena that is terrestrial, but it is not usually part of our experience? You know, again, we can go into things like crypto-terrestrials and ultra-terrestrials, and, you know, I think that we have some of that. I also think that we're visited by spiritual or psychical phenomena. So yeah, I think we have visitation of many different types that are happening.
Do you think, though, that they are only appearing in countries that seem to be above the poverty level? For instance, technologically advanced countries, the United States, the United Kingdom, Russia, China, Canada, France, places like that?
No, definitely not. If you speak to indigenous tribal groups in the jungles of, you know, in the Amazon jungle, they'll tell you about it. There's one group, can't remember the name of the tribe, but they have a story that long ago, a princess in the Pleiades looked down on the earth and felt sympathy for the suffering and all the problems that were going on here. And so she decided to come with some of her people. But rather than coming in a ship or anything like that, they became spheres of light and traveled to Earth to try and help with the situation. Right, so these are people cut off in the Amazon jungle, right? So they're not getting this from, you know, UFO research or anything. So, you know, it's always been there, and you will find that, again, with Native Americans who consider themselves having star family, right? And if you go to India, you find that there's a whole long narrative there, and there's ongoing today, lots of UFO stuff in India, but also historically, you know, they have legends of beings, strange beings, you know, obviously even the gods, the blue beings. I mean, I think wherever you go, you're going to find that Aboriginal people, again, they're not living in great wealth, but the Aboriginal people have lots of lore about contact and visitors. Again, the Pleiades, that comes up a lot. But beings that have come here, they call the star heroes rather than gods, but that came here in the dream time, in our Chiringa time, and that they had an influence on creating beings and creating features here. So no, it's definitely not being limited to us. But what I think we have is a difference in the narrative and a difference in elements of the contact experience compared to what we might say the developed or affluent nations and those other cultures, right, which are not in those situations, that maybe are less affluent, less technologically progressed, that they have plenty of lore, plenty of contact, but it's a bit different.
We only got about 7.5 minutes here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Bruce Fenton is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Bruce, when you look at the way this technology seems to be coming around, everybody's talking about these craft, the way they move, the way they are able to go from 0 to 30,000 miles an hour at the snap of a finger, climb to 100,000 feet from water level at the snap of a finger. We are talking about technology so advanced that, it's maybe a lifetime to 2 lifetimes or more away from us even getting remotely half of that technology. At least that's what we think. We are being led to believe that some of this technology is ours. Do you buy that? Do you believe that the military-industrial complex has been able to create this technology, much like what Ben Rich said back in 1992 when he was speaking at the former Lockheed Skunk Works party, says we already have the ability to get ET home again? Do you believe that?
Well, look, I'm open-minded about that only in as much as it's possible, but only if they had contact with some of an intelligence that was itself, aware of how this stuff works and that, operates this kind of technology or understands it, and that this intelligence informed our scientists and engineers. But one thing I find is difficult to see is how do we get around the energy needs of this kind of technology, because, we are a type 0 civilization dependent on burning old decomposed wood, basically, with coal, oil. We're not a type 1 civilization. We don't even harness all the power of our own sun, so what I understand, the energy demands of some of these objects would we just wouldn't be able to meet them. That it requires a heck of a lot of energy to start having technology that defy gravity and all of that. That's my understanding from the physicists, and that makes me very skeptical that we can be operating these. So we may have pseudo craft that look a bit like that or can do some quite fancy things, but I'm not sure if we've really got to that level. And if we have, again, is it ours, or are we almost getting loan stuff and help from someone else to do it? Because I don't think we're at that stage, not naturally.
I don't think we are either, and I'm a firm believer that we are being visited as well. I've seen craft. I've seen them on the ground. Only one, I will say that. It was kind of impressive. But would you, if you've never had that experience and you're trying to buy into all of this and believe all of this, are we winning the public debate? Is the public out there starting to pay attention, or are they still having their blinders on? Because there's a lot of information that has come out recently in the last 6-8 months to 18 months that in any other time would absolutely scare the daylights out of people, except we seem to be so immune to everything and so self-absorbed with everything that we're not even paying attention to this.
Yeah, it's a kind of a funny thing that, that it's people accepting stuff so readily in a way without questioning that. I don't know if we just, as a community, I mean the broader public community, got used to just being spoon-fed stuff, and just accepting it. Because I don't think just believing either. I mean, I'm not looking to have lots of people believe, right, in UFOs or believe in the paranormal. But what I'd like people to first of all be objectively open-minded that there's something going on, to accept that there is something going on. Firstly, then to assess the evidence and come to a reasoned conclusion as to whether there is a genuine phenomena, and to know that that is real. Right? What I'm not keen on is when people say, "Well, I believe that's real," because they like the sound of it, or it's exciting, or their friend had an experience, they believe their friend. I understand that, but I don't really like belief. I'm a Gnostic, right? I think that you should have some sense of knowing, right, and some sense of evidence-supported, reality that you live in, right? Not just that you just absorb some more beliefs. And I think that's what the media want. And perhaps with this latest change in the media, there's this thing that, wanting people to believe something, but we haven't been given the evidence for, really. And that concerns me because, there is evidence out there of something, that's what we should be sharing. And there's enough to convince people that there is specific aspects of phenomena that are real, that you don't have to just, I believe that they're probably true. No, that they are objectively proven to be real. Right. That's a completely different thing to just believing.
Quick question here from Renee. Bruce, technology seemed to have jumped up so fast within the last few decades. Is it possible that alien technology had something to do with that?
I think it's possible it's possible, but also I think that what we've had historically on this planet is contact with some kind of intelligence, and we know that because if you ask any culture really, right? If you go back, I know we consider ourselves a bit different, indigenous, but like all cultures, at some point have had a history of, say, shamanic practitioners, mediums, the priests. These people are talking to something, right? We get this information, and it has changed us, and it's changed our culture. I think it's also provided us with building technologies. Look at the pyramids, stuff like that. I think that we in the past have been given information how to do things. We still hear from contactees and people, they're given information, real information, like maths that you can use, right? Things that can be made, engineering projects that have come out of contact experiences with real discoveries made, okay? So I think that we don't necessarily need the technology to fall out of the sky if someone's whispering the design in our ears. And I think that's kind of what we actually have is this interaction where information is being downloaded, passed on, and it's being utilized. And I expect that's more the case than the reverse engineering of debris and all that stuff.
This leads to PBR's question. Do you think we get new technology in exchange for a certain number of abductions?
I don't even know that. Look, if what we see in the abduction kind of scenario, represents some kind of advanced technology, whether psychical, something quantum physics-y, or whatever, it's so mind-bogglingly advanced that I don't see that those parties would need to negotiate any agreements with our government, or even to talk to them. They would just go around them and do what they wanted. Because what's the difference? What could the government really do to a party that can just come through, open a hole in your wall, walk through, paralyze you, and float you off into the sky? Right? I don't think that we have any system that is equipped to tackle that on our planet, and that there would be no need for any agreements. If they've made them, maybe there's some sort of strange custom of theirs, but that they wouldn't need to, because it's quite obvious that we would be outclassed by that, if that's physically what's happening.
Well, it also sparks a new debate in the field of ufology. Put your tinfoil hats on, because there's a lot of people who believe the 65-year treaty ends in 2020, and that's going to be disclosure. That treaty, the Greada Treaty, as we're about to go to break, was allegedly signed by President Eisenhower when he met with aliens way back in 1954-55. I'm curious to get your opinion on that. So we're going to wait about 7-8 minutes here till we get back from break, get hour 3 kicked off, and then I'd love to get your response. I know we have a question on Twitter from John, so we will get to your question as well. Skeptics being skeptical, it's a beautiful thing. Spaced Out Radio's hour number 3 coming up with Bruce Fenton right after this.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Hey fans, it's Dave Scott. Do I have something for you to check out? A great documentary about legendary Mexican investigative journalist Jaime Maussan and his search for the truth about UFOs. Beyond the Spectrum, Maussan's UFO files can be found on Amazon Prime. It's free to watch if you're a member. You might even hear me in it. So check out Beyond the Spectrum, only on Amazon Prime.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacey, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
From the mile-high mountains of Colorado to all of you around the world, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I invite you to stick around spacedoutradio.com for Saturday and Sunday nights where I host Spaced Out Weekend. Let me take you on a wild ride of weird and strange topics from ghosts and ETs to remote viewing, psychic phenomena, and so much more. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time on Spaced Out Weekend, where we own the night.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
We're kicking off hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, hanging out with all of you. Thank you for hanging out with us. Hi to everyone listening in on KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas. Down in Reedsport, Oregon, KDUN AM 1030. KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, we're proud to broadcast on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Good to have you with us. Don't forget, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Delatomi is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the Gavinator will soon have a plethora of features for you. You can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, listen to the show live right now. For the final time tonight, we introduce Bruce Fenton. He is an author, researcher into everything from ancient aliens to the current UFO phenomena, and his website, brucefenton.info, if you want to check it out. All of his books are on Amazon. Bruce, thank you so much for getting up early in the United Kingdom to do this for our audience. We really appreciate it.
No problem at all. It's always a pleasure.
Got to ask you about Tom DeLonge. Tom DeLonge has become a very sensitive topic around the field of ufology. There are people who think he is an absolute god for what he is doing, and there are people who absolutely do not trust this guy because he throws a lot of oddballs out. One of the things that always makes me curious about DeLonge is the fact that he will tweet something out or put something out on Instagram, and within hours, he's removed it. Thankfully, there are people out there who have realized this, and the minute he posts something, they are screenshotting it. But to me, it doesn't make sense why someone in his position would be doing things like that. Is there a disconnect between DeLong, his research, members of the TTSA, and maybe the UFO public?
I think there is, yes. I mean, I've read his Secret Machines, Man, God's War, Volume 1, right? And in there, obviously, along with Peter Levender, he tackles this whole idea that there's this cargo cult that, that we've been influenced from the beginning pretty much by visitors from other worlds, whether extraterrestrial, interdimensional, whatever. But they've influenced us, and that our religions have come from them. A lot of the problems we have here, warfare, stem back to them, that there's links into the Greek gods and all this stuff, right? That's all in there. Like, things that you'd also see in Sitchin's work, Eric von Daniken's work, there's some of that's in there, a lot of repeats from that, but gives you some idea what that book's about. Now, that's definitely not the narrative we're seeing from the TTSA team, as a whole. This is something that Tom is obviously doing with Peter. But how can you have this strange disconnect in your own company, right? Because if I have my own media company, I want it to be talking about what I think is correct, right? And when it goes to the press and it gives goes to press release or whatever, I want it to be carrying some of the narratives that I believe are the core of the subject, right? So if it doesn't reflect the things that I'm putting out in my own books, and my team members are dropping the alien word entirely, right? So saying, we don't even need to go there. But I have books talking about alien cargo cults that have basically founded humanity, right? Provided us with all our belief systems. How can that not be a huge disconnect within the same organization, right? The new book coming out, which is volume 2 of this Secret Machines, God's Man and War, right? That actually tackles some similar things to what I'm tackling. I mean, to be honest, I can only see that we'll end up either singing from the same hymn sheet, or he and I are going to have some kind of clash here, because the subjects are so similar. It tells us that, it's going to be tackling genetics and the ET hypothesis. Was life on Earth actually initiated by alien life forms deliberately? Many cultures worldwide hold clues in their mythos that points to this. But for what ultimate purpose would this have, and what does that make humanity? Now, that's one of the core things there. It also says it's tackling consciousness, and whether that's an aspect from this alien DNA, saying if they've engineered us, was our consciousness inherent within this, including this DNA that's been provided to us, and then human-machine symbiosis, this, the coming merger, the singularity. But these are the core topics. So if that's really what Tom is about, we assume the book that has his name on it is what he's about, what he believes. And this meshes with stuff that he's said in his interviews, when he's gone on, obviously, Coast, and he's gone on to, Fade to Black and everything. And these are the kind of things he's talked about. So how can it not, at some point, become a glaring issue that all the other team members are really hesitant to talk about aliens, right? And yet he's telling us that he thinks aliens are basically the creators of our reality, right? So don't you see that as a huge disconnect somewhere in that team?
One of the huge disconnects that I see through this, and it's one of the questions that has not been posed to anybody in TTSA, is the fact that Tom has been on a very, very negative aspect and very public about it in regards to extraterrestrials, that we need to put nuclear weapons in space. We need to make sure that we can blow them out of the sky. Aliens are evil. They are bad for this planet. Yet, right after TTSA was formed, he approached the Free Experiencers group led by Renario Hernandez. This was a group set up by the late Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the man, the sixth man to walk on the moon. And their statistics of ET contactees show that 84% of all contact has been positive. Now, if you are promoting a negative agenda and your sources within the government are saying they are negative, that completely contradicts every piece of research that Dr. Stephen Greer, love him or hate him, has done, because his government contacts say the opposite. But why try and buy the Free Experiencers statistics if they don't match up to your narrative? That's one of those walking contradictions I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I do find that sometimes it seems that he has to shift positions rapidly between, what I guess is perhaps the TTSA view and what maybe is his personal view, and that, that in those meetings, we can only imagine that, he's going into these meetings, and that when he comes out, he's a bit shell-shocked perhaps, and now has to adapt to what's been decided in the board meeting or something, because it is a bit peculiar, that he seems to shift between positions. And but I can kind of imagine, look, if tomorrow I was going into work and my work is me and a dozen or so people from the intelligence community, the government, I would not be looking forward to my day at work, because I think we know I'm going to get rolled over again at work tomorrow, me against the dozen, because quite clearly Tom sort of comes out of this, although, obviously he's living a different lifestyle to us, right? He's multi-millionaire, rock star. But in terms of the UFO subject, he's much like most of us, right? He's had an interest in it. He's gone into all the weird stuff. He's gone into probably looking at the same sources most of us have looked at. And so he has that kind of worldview. But then he's dealing with these people who, for me, that would be a very bizarre scenario. And I can imagine going in there and then steamrolling over my position and saying, no, this is how it is. You know what I mean? You've got it wrong. You need to go back out there and correct that, because, look, this is how it is. You know what I mean? It's difficult to see how that wouldn't be the case, right? That you've got these people that are used to getting, things done their way and getting it done. I just don't see how else to look at it other than the shifts in his position seem to mesh with that, because clearly his books, they're saying something different to what we are reading in the New York Times and stuff, that it's just as simple as the Navy are going to report UFOs in a different way. They're not saying it's anything to do with aliens, but then at the same time, Tom is saying, hey, that's us, We're able to get the Navy to change. We're able to get the New York Times to do that. Well, that's fine. Then if you're able to do all that, aren't you able to also share with us your personal understanding of this, Tom? Because, from what I gather, based on your books and what you've told us in interviews, you're saying there's multiple kinds of extraterrestrial life. There are biological, non-biological. There's huge things floating in space, amoeba-like creatures. He's telling us there's all these things out there. There's also these ones that have come here. They've founded humanity. Now he's telling us the genetics, has come from them. That they've created us, which see I cover in my books. So essentially, we'd agree with each other. But how can he then not have that reflected in the media or in these things coming out of TTSA? To me, that's a very big disconnect. If what we're doing is trying to educate the public of the truth, and he's doing that in his book, right? How can you then say, but oh no, I don't really want that to be in the New York Times? I don't get that, because if this is the truth, right, and he feels it's important enough that it's in a book that he wants everyone to read, why doesn't he want the New York Times readers to read it? If he has that level of control over the media narrative, why isn't he saying, hey, we need to also mention the stuff I actually write about? Right.
Well, it is interesting, but here's the problem: is I don't think we're crapping on DeLong. We're not crapping on the TTSA. There are just a lot of questions that need to be answered, and yet in today's UFO community, if you want decent questions answered, you're the one getting crapped on social media, especially Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, look. Look, I think the problem is a lot of people are coming into this subject area with Tom, with TTSA. That it's bringing people in, and that perhaps they've become very interested in the last 2 or 3 years, and they admit that. A lot of the people that are very sort of, I guess, tied to or very supportive of TTSA will admit that that although they probably had some interest in the past, that they've largely become quite involved as that has manifested, right? As this movement, TTSA has manifested. Now, that is not a solid base of understanding this subject. Like, that's not being critical but I can say that having, as I said to you earlier, I've been interested in these topics since I was 11, right? I started reading on the mystery subjects when I was 11. I'm 42, right? And I can tell you now that, 30 odd years is not enough, right? To have an absolutely solid understanding of these topics, right? And that they do interrelate, because there's no good just saying, well, I know a lot about UFOs. Because I could say, well, what do you know how that connects to remote viewing? Or do you know how that connects to Bigfoot? Do you know how that connects to the disappearances in national parks? Do you know how that connects to magnetic phenomena or quantum physics? Because it does, right? And you are not going to have that solid understanding in 2 or 3 years, my friend. You are not. It's not possible. And on top of that, most people are working, they have their family life, they have very little time for serious scholarly research, right? I have a bit of a situation where I work from home, I'm self-employed, I have more time to do that. Also, I am Asperger's type person, right? I spend a lot of time. I can sit, concentrate, study, read academic papers, do all that stuff. That's my brain, right? So that's something that I have, which helps me. I can do that, right? Now, the average person is just not going to have all this information. I mean, as you know from talking to me, I can talk on any of these subjects. 30 years, plus being a bit, fanatical, I've absorbed a lot of information, but it's still not enough. So how can someone with 2 or 3 years information really feel confident that they have got it right and that this narrative they are hearing and repeating or accepting is right? Okay, it's very unlikely. And even with involving, say, people from the intelligence community, what makes people think that those guys have spent their careers investigating this? Seems very unlikely, doesn't it? So they probably don't know an awful lot. They will have access to some files, but even again, they still have to actually go and read those, right? They still have to go and say, well, now I want to be briefed on what do we know about this, and then they have to get up to speed. So we have no particular reason to think that these people are all knowing and that they have all the information, having just retired and just decided to do this. I'm very skeptical of that. These are mammoth topics that take decades to get your head around.
They do. They absolutely do take amount of time to get your head around, because for the mainstream public, they don't want to believe it. Yet they look at us and they think, wow, look at those people wasting all of that precious time when they could be doing whatever it is they could be doing.
Yeah, sure. And it's deeply uncomfortable, some of it, the idea that there's something else there that can meddle with you. It can even leave you with radiation effects. It can leave you scarred. It can leave your brain changed. It can program you to become a zealot, to become a prophet of deception. It can do all of those things. I mean, I would say I've had some of those things done to me. And I imagine a lot of people won't like to say those things, but people like Tom, myself, or Stephen Greer. Look, nearly all of them are going to be experiencers, right, and contactees. If you drill down, you find they've had quite a lot of experiences of their own. What did those experiences do to them, right? This is really important when we go back to the contactee thing, because one thing that comes, if you look at John Keel's work, and John Keel was excellent, I think, but, he points out that often after the contact experiences, the people become mouthpieces for the phenomena, or for whatever this contact experience is. That there's downloads, there's changes to the brain, there's even seems to be evidence of changes to DNA. What's being done to us? Why do we suddenly become fanatical? These are questions you don't. They say, why are these people wasting all their time? Maybe we have no choice, right? Maybe my brain has been restructured in a way where now I am just a researcher of the phenomenon, and I no longer have that full bandwidth of interests that other people have for a reason, right? That there's something's been done to me. Okay, and I'm very suspicious of that, having now understood that we see this happen again and again, that people become prophets and speakers and presenters after the contacts, and often those begin in childhood, right? So you've been shaped by a phenomena, a mysterious phenomena that probably has an agenda, whether benevolent, neutral, or negative, and that you are in some way working for the phenomena, right? And that should make people stop and have a creepy feeling inside when you're listening to it. Doesn't matter whether you're listening to me, to Tom DeLonge, to Stephen Greer, or to one of the other people in this. You'll find that nearly all of them are experiencers, right? The ones who really know, and the really strange ones, the ones who talk about really weird stuff, we mostly have been in some way shaped by that contact.
How much do you think the government is involved?
Well, there's no doubt that, over the years, obviously, they've had their fingers in it. We know that experiences have been questioned, particularly military experiences, have had people turn up, like the OSI seems to be one party that turns up, interviews military contactees, hypnotism's involved, sometimes drugs are involved, that they are interested in what's happening to these people. In fact, Tom DeLonge just recently said that there's a project involving, I think it's hundreds of military contactees and that there's actually a project now where they're looking to understand the phenomena through those military contactees. Now, that's a really amazing admission that he's come out with. And so you think about that, I think that there is stuff going on there in the clandestine research. Again, we know that we've had Project Stargate, these kind of projects in the past that were looking at remote viewing. So there's no reason to think that there wouldn't be these kind of projects with contactees to understand the phenomena. So someone in there, they know, look, this isn't just about staring up at the UFO and seeing what color it is and how fast it flashes. We need to know what's going on with the people. So that is happening. I think that they do have some serious knowledge on that, because they have the money, they have the scientists, they have the labs, they have the facilities to really drill down and find out what the DNA changes are, what the brain changes are, what's going on. They have the psychiatrists and the psychologists. I'd find it hard pressed to believe they don't know that. What I think is they probably don't have a lot of is understanding of the mechanics of it and all the technologies and how it all works. I'm dubious they understand that, but I think they have a good idea of what it's doing to people and what's going on in that contact experience.
Do you believe that this all ties to maybe a secret space program? That we've been to Mars, that we have people on the moon, that we've traveled well outside our own solar system?
I'm dubious of that. I mean, I know that one thing that comes up a lot in contact experiences is messages from the others, again, whether these are multiple parties or one party with many faces, whatever, how we want to look at that there's often the messages that they do not want us to leave Earth, right? And that they will not allow us to go far beyond Earth at this stage. That is something that has been passed on many times, that until we are how they would like us to be, how exactly that is, less violent or whatever, that they are not planning to let us go far. So I'm skeptical that we have this secret space program where we're flying around. Well, certainly there's, secret ships, we know that there's shuttles, there's a military shuttle and there's a few things like that. I don't think that we're going very far with any of this. And again, if it's people on an alien ship and there's some kind of agreement and they're going on that, again, that's not really us. So if that is happening, right, that's not us. The same as if there's ships that we're flying that are built by ET or given to us or they've told us how to build them, that's not really us either, right? Because if you can't do it yourself, right, really, that's not yours, is it? And that they can pull the plug on that any time. So I don't think that we have those capabilities, outside of possible agreements with someone that does. Yeah. So again, I do not think that we have that.
I'm not sure on that. I really don't. I mean, where are all these black triangles coming from? Are they from space? Are they ours? These TR3Bs.
Sure. I mean, look, it seems like we may have something, but again, is that being built just by us? Or is someone helping us? I'm quite wary of that, because there's also a lot of talk of, a secret government agreement. You said touched on that earlier, but also in these kind of what they call my lab experiences, military abductions, people have said they've been into bases, areas where it looks like there's some kind of collaborative effort between us and a non-human intelligence. So if that non-human intelligence is actually what's allowing us to have these craft, I don't consider that being necessarily our fleet or our craft. I'm a bit wary on that, because then you don't really have control over it if it's someone else helping you do it, right? Really, it's their technology, their craft, and you're almost just borrowing it, because they obviously have the end say on it. So yes, we might have some of these things, and if they really are that advanced, then I would go with the fact that we are being helped by an ET. I don't believe that we would have developed, like 0 point energy and teleportation without some help. It's too big a jump without the energy that we should have then gone beyond coal and oil to our whole star encased, in one of these I can't remember the word now, but a grid that collects all the energy of your sun, and then from there you can leap up to multiple suns giving you energy, and onwards towards 0 point energy. We are not there. So the kind of technologies that we are talking about, these things that can defy gravity, and turn on a dime at thousands of miles an hour, the physicists are telling us that these require unbelievable energy, right, which we don't produce on this planet. So if someone's hooked us into the energy for them, again, they have the final say. They can turn them off, right? So, I don't know. It leaves me very skeptical as to whether we can really call that our secret space program.
My friend, we only got about 40 seconds left with you tonight. I want to say thank you for coming on. Please let our audience know where they can find your books.
Sure. You can find both my Forgotten Exodus, The Inter-Africa Theory of Human Evolution, that is on Amazon. Also, co-author of Hybrid Humans, Scientific Evidence of Our 800,000-Year-Old Alien Legacy, that's on Amazon. And just coming up in the next few months, I have a new book, Exogenesis, which will be coming out, I think, early 2020, and you'll see me talk about that more soon. Websites, hybridhumans.net, brucefenton.info, and ancientnews.net, and also aerialanomalies.com. So I have a few that people can visit. And of course, they're welcome to see me on Twitter, hybridhumans144, and if they liked what I'm saying, great. If they didn't, they can ask me questions or criticize me politely. That's fine. But yeah, no, it's always a pleasure.
We will do it all again very soon, Bruce. Bruce Fenton, everybody. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio listeners, it's Dave Scott. I want you to check out a great documentary I'm involved in called Beyond the Spectrum, Mosson's UFO Files. Directed by Darcy Weir, the film follows Jaime Mosson's journey for mainstream journalistic truth in ufology in Mexico. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon Prime. If you're a member, watch it free. It's worth the watch. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rockin'. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF 2017 for your 20% discount today. Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you, each and every one of you, for tuning us in. Reminder that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can always go to our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where you can read up on all the news put together by Captain Shirk. Listen to the show live. The Gavinator will have new features coming very, very soon. Speaking of the news, let's get to the weird, the wacky, the WTF, the SOR Newswire. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire. Back end of every show, you can find all the news put together by Captain Shirk at spacedoutradio.com. We're going to start off over in India, where I'll tell you, they take their cattle seriously. A mob has beaten to death 3 men suspected of trying to steal cattle. They say the suspects were caught by villagers in the Bihar state as they were trying to load a buffalo and a calf onto a lorry. Yeah, Apparently, this is the latest in a spate of cow vigilante attacks that have provoked alarm among religious minorities and socially underprivileged classes. Hindus consider cows sacred, and killing them is taboo. Critics have accused the governing Hindu nationalist BJP of not doing enough to rein in such violence. Several dozen people have been killed and hundreds injured in mob attacks since 2014 when the BJP came to power, but there have been convictions in only a handful of cases. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been criticized for not condemning the attacks quickly or strong enough. Yeah, so make sure if you're traveling to India, leave the cows alone. Your trip will be much safer, much more memorable. Speaking of animals, this takes being a cat woman to a whole different level. A Colorado woman wearing a cat-themed T-shirt was arrested for trying to poison her neighbor's dog. Margaret Worker, 73 years old, was convicted of felony animal cruelty earlier this month for throwing a poisonous substance over her neighbor's fence at his dog, Wrigley. The act itself, which happened in April, was caught by her neighbor's surveillance camera. The neighbor alerted police and Worker was arrested in May. It was later determined by investigators that the substance she threw over the fence was likely ground chicken dipped in antifreeze. The dog did not consume any of the chicken. Worker pled guilty on July 9th and received a deferred sentence. She was ordered to pay a $250 fine to the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region. In Worker's booking photo, she wore a black T-shirt with black and white cat in the center. Authorities believe she may have been annoyed over Wrigley's barking. Yeah, apparently there were some concerns with complaints about barking dogs in that area. We weren't really ever able to pinpoint it down whose dog was barking, but we believe where it stemmed from, a barking issue. With a cat shirt on. Amazing. All right. This is a good thing. Singapore authorities have seized 8.8 tons of elephant ivory, its largest seizure to date. Authorities estimate that the tusks, valued at $12.9 million, have come from nearly 300 African elephants. Some 11.9 tons of pangolin scales, valued at $35.7 million, were also seized. It's believed to have belonged to about 2,000 of the mammals. The illegal cargo was found in containers after a tip-off from Chinese Customs Department. Authorities discovered the animal parts Sunday after they inspected a shipment from the Democratic Republic of Congo that was passing through Singapore on its way to Vietnam. The containers were falsely declared to contain timber. Upon inspection, sacks containing pangolin scales and elephant ivory were found in one of the containers. The seized pangolin scales and elephant ivory will be destroyed. It's not the first time such illegal goods have been found in Singapore. The country has seized a total of 37.5 tons of pangolin scales since April of last year. Pangolins. Have you seen them? They're cute little animals. You know, this whole trade thing going on for animals, it's not good. It's not good. Easy to say, I know. Don't get it. They're not curing you, people. Those little things are not curing you. Leave the animals alone. All right, moving on. You remember yesterday we told you the story about the people missing in BC? There were 3 people murdered, 2 teenagers missing. Well, what a change of events today. Mounties have confirmed that Briar Schmigelski and Cam McLeod are now wanted for questioning following the murders of Lucas Fowler and China Deese in northern British Columbia last week, as well as an unidentified man found dead close to Dease Lake on Friday near a burnt-out camper owned by the suspects. The men may be now in Gillam, Manitoba, which is about 1,000 kilometers north of Winnipeg, or 662 miles. Now, police say, Sergeant Janelle Shoei, I can't go into the specifics with respect to how that determination was made. I could just tell you that investigators are now receiving new information And that new information now leads us to believe and to take this very unprecedented step to call the public and ask if you have any information about Cam or Breyer's whereabouts, please do not take any action and call 911. Now, Manitoba RCMP tweeted out earlier today that they have reason to believe the two may have recently been seen near Gillam, Manitoba, almost 3,000 kilometers away from where Dees and Fowler's bodies were found. Yeah, these boys are on the hot seat right now. At a press conference, investigators acknowledged a possible link between the homicides and the two missing men from Vancouver Island, whose camper was found burnt out. It's just a terrible story. Terrible story. One of the boys' dads literally came out and said, I don't think my son would ever do anything like this. I now become the most hated dad in the country. If my son did this, I no longer have a son. Terrible story. Terrible. Hopefully they'll catch him very, very soon. Sticking with this story, well, yeah. The Canadian Mounties live streamed a press conference on Facebook about this double homicide using a filter that made the officer appear to have a feline Homo sapien hybrid. Apparently, they called it technical difficulties and explained that an automatic setting on Facebook Live had set itself so that the acting officer talking about the case would be shown with kitten ears, kitten whiskers, and a kitten nose. Yeah, didn't look very professional when you're talking about a murder. The press conference addressed the apparent double homicide of American China Noel Dees and Australian boyfriend Lucas Fowler. Yeah, their bodies were found July 15th. And of course, we just told you the story before that in regards to who they are now looking for. Here's an interesting one. Down in the Amazon, an indigenous film collective from Brazil has released new footage of the isolated Awa tribe in the Amazon rainforest. The 1-minute video appears to show a man holding what looks like a machete, who at one point seems to look directly at the camera. Then another figure can be seen briefly carrying what might be a bow and arrow before the pair run off through the dense vegetation. The footage was filmed in the Maranhão state, eastern Brazil, by a neighboring tribe called the Guajajara, and who they work to protect the rainforest where this tribe lives. It was released in the media, a collective indigenous filmmakers, as part of efforts to protect the forest from economic interest. Logging camps have been seen near the uncontacted Awa people, and they are trying to keep them away right now. According to one quote, "We didn't have the Awa's permission to film, but we know that it's important to use these images because if we don't show them around the world, the Awa will be killed by loggers. We are using these images as a cry for help as we're calling for the government to protect the lives of our relatives who don't want contact with outsiders." Wow. That's pretty real. Pretty darn real. Let's move on, shall we? Here's a good one for you. We're going to North Carolina, Lake Lure to be exact. A wanted tiki bar cook tried to flee authorities by swimming away in a North Carolina river, but unfortunately for him, he was caught by officers waiting downstream. A Lake Lure police statement said 38-year-old Jesse Lee Boyd was wanted by the U.S. Marshals Service on warrants accusing him of forgery or counterfeiting in Iowa. Investigators said they made a plan over the weekend to arrest him at the management office of the Geneva Riverside Tiki Bar, but they said Bond was warned and he walked to the office and fled on foot before dashing into the rocky Broad River. Officers positioned themselves downstream along the banks, and Boyd eventually gave himself up. Police statement said Monday that department officials didn't know if Boyd has an attorney as of yet. They didn't say whether he was caught doing the breaststroke, the backstroke, or just swimming for his life. Let's get to the thought of the day, shall we? Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. Yeah, we like to have some fun. Go for a swim in the river while the police are chasing us. You know how it goes. All right. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. How far back do you think UFOs have been visiting Earth? Does it even matter? Stephen on Twitter believes that the UFOs have been coming since we were 8 people. All right. Bruce, our previous guest. It's a recurrent theme in my new book as well. I actually do argue Clark and Kubrick had insider knowledge. Judith on Twitter. No way of knowing for sure. And no, it doesn't matter. It is what it is, believe it or not. ET UFO disclosure guy wears a mean pair of sunglasses. Says technically, since you can't fly beyond the Kármán line, they could only be operating on Earth since the Wright brothers. As for ETV vehicles, they have been operating long before Earth even existed, in my opinion. UFO hunter. Longer than we can imagine, maybe even before the Big Bang thing we keep getting told about. Oscar. As far back as possible. They're time traveling. Anon 3%. Since the beginning of time, I believe extraterrestrials have always existed and have formed Earth to which it is today, slowly bringing forms of technology. Wiki Juliet believes they brought us here. But from where? Where? Graham. At least since Pampapunku in South America 12,500 years back, maybe longer, for Baalbek and Egypt and Samaria 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. Jesse, I think it does show some importance. It confirms that no threat exists. William, could be any one of a couple of answers, and really none can be wrong to me. Scotty, well, one point of view would say, since the beginning. Another group would say, since our ancestors were squatting in caves. A third group might respond, since World War II. I am that I am on Twitter. Not sure they could penetrate for over 13,000 Earth years because the dark matrix has us quarantined in one area of our galaxy, Aldebaran, a star next to Palladian's DNA, where that of life forms relative to sacrifice. Kevin, what if different types visited at different times? Interesting theory. Herman, ET and ET probes could have been on Earth for 1 billion or more years. I'm not sure how it matters. What truly matters is finding out what UFOs are and what are their intentions. We're still alive, aren't we? Wouldn't that be what the intentions are for? All right, let's see what's happening on Facebook. Debbie, I think that they've been here since creation. Harlan, before Christ for sure. Gabe, I think these beings have been here for a while. They even helped me get a job once. Oh, that's a story I need to know. I wonder if it was like a teenager where you go berry picking or something like that. Does anybody really do that anymore? Berry picking for the summer? I know up in my area where I grew up, it was huge because there was lots of blueberries, strawberries, and raspberry farms. God, I hate raspberries. I'd take blueberries and strawberries over raspberries anytime. That's just me. William Pullen, former guest. It may not matter, and it certainly may be something which is beyond our ability to determine. My professional opinion? I feel that UFOs have been coming here since at least the early 20th century, possibly longer, although that again may be unprovable. Kelly, they created our existence. John, millions of years at a minimum. Yes, it matters because I believe it's the same ones here today. Dorothy believes they've been here since biblical times. Jeanette, since man has been created. Charles, about 10,000 BC. Daryl, for many thousands of years. It doesn't matter because they've never attacked us. Kimberly, the Anunnaki aliens came here and seeded this planet. They created us. Let's get to Renee. I feel it has been happening since the beginning and would not be surprised if the Earth was populated and propagated by otherworldly beings. Hence, why is there visitation? Well, they're coming for vacation, Renee, of course. It actually does make sense and does matter because that would explain why visitation, abduction, and the taking of samples and tests makes sense. Sorry if this upsets the religious. Sparky. I would suspect UFOs have been visiting Earth way before man left any images in stone portraying UFOs and beings from other places in the universe. Of course, we don't know if there were civilizations on Earth that could have left solid evidence relating to UFOs and their occupants, of which there is not any way to trace civilizations who may have done this. Earth is said to be over 4 billion years old. Look at just what happened in the last 100 years. How many civilizations can possibly have lived and disappeared, leaving not a trace during such a vast period of time? And we're going to wrap it up right there. I could keep going because there's probably about 50 more to read, but we're just out of time. Darn it, we are out of time. Big thanks to everybody chipping on in for the Thought of the Day on Twitter and Facebook. We will do it with a brand new question tomorrow. So we're going to find out what it is in the morning. I got to think about it. I'll sleep on that one. Big thanks to Captain Shirk for a great setup for our SOR Newswire tonight. Of course, you can find the SOR Newswire by going to spacedoutradio.com. Just scroll down a little bit. Captain Shirk's news is all right there for you. And, of course, big thanks to Bruce Fenton for coming on in, talking UFOs, talking aliens, talking the state of disclosure right now. Of course, his website, brucefenton.info. We appreciate him coming on, and we're going to do that again. He's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Real balanced individual. I'm sure him and I are going to take some heat tomorrow on Twitter. I'm sure we are. Chrisomania is probably going to run wild on us. Follow me on Twitter to figure out what that means. Hashtag Chrisomania. You never want Chrisomania to come at you. Never. But who knows? Probably will happen. Tomorrow night on the show, Australian author Bobby Richardson joins us. We're going to talk ghosts. Some of her spiritual connections, communications. We're going to turn the woo up a little bit. I've had a couple of woo-less nights here. Let's turn the woo up as we get to hump day. If you're up for it, I am. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Oh, yeah. Good rock and roll there. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, in our chat rooms. The SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, Revolution Radio, on Spreaker, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Wherever you listen, wherever you may be. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for deciding to share your evening with us. We had a lot of fun. We get to do it all again soon because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night, everybody.